Premier Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
Obviously, there's a number of questions from my colleagues and I about the announcement yesterday regarding the safe consumption sites. At this point, it sounds as though you want them to make the transition into the heart hubs, as has been announced as well. Just curious what your thoughts are. How do people who refuse treatment go about making that transition themselves? How do you get them into programs and services that you want them to get into?
Well, you know something, I just don't believe these safe consumption sites. I've listened to the people in the neighborhoods. I've consulted with them. I've been getting endless phone calls about needles being in the parks, needles being by the schools and by the daycare. That's unacceptable. What we believe in these heart hubs is we're putting $378 million into supporting people with primary care, mental health services, addiction care and support, social services, employment support, shelter and transition beds, supportive housing and other supplies and services, including naloxone and on-site showers. So, you know, giving someone, an addict, a place to do their injections, we haven't seen it get better. This was supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the worst thing that could ever happen to a community to have one of these safe injection sites in their neighborhood. The other problem I have was with the federal government. You know, safe supply. They get to go up there and get endless amounts of drugs, and guess what they do? They go out and they sell it and get other people addicted, and then they go and get even stronger drugs. But as far as I'm concerned, the federal government's the biggest drug dealer in the entire country. It's unacceptable. It needs to stop. We need to get rid of safe supply. We need to put money into treatment, detox beds. That's what we need to do, not continue to giving people free drugs.
Premier Eric Viano, CHCH News. Just going back to the safe injection sites, there's one that's going to be closing in Hamilton. Many people with addictions also face homelessness. There's concerns that there's going to be deaths and visible drug use in the streets. What are your response to those concerns?
Well, that's why we're investing $378 million to find people shelter, to get them help, to have primary care, mental health services, addictions and care support, and housing, and shelter to transition beds. That's what we need to do. To support these people, you don't give them more drugs.
It's Lorenda from CBC News. Your government looked for expert advice on consumption and treatment services. 2 reports have now been added to the government's webpage. They don't recommend closing the Leslieville site. One even recommends expanding consumption and treatment services. So why are you going against expert advice?
Well, first of all, what they forgot to say is public consultation. And I was just wondering how you would feel if I stuck one of these beside your house. You wouldn't like it. Matter of fact, I know you wouldn't like it. Neither would your neighbors, and neither would anyone else. And all the kids, they shouldn't be by schools. They shouldn't be by daycares. And we're going to put more money in for these heart hubs that are going to support people the right way. Not give them a free place where all the drug dealers live. And in Leslieville, endless calls nonstop on my cell phone about thank you for doing this. And we are going to support these people that have issues and addictions. We're going to support them better than ever before. And that's what we need to do. There's no place for this.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris, CTV
Hi,
News.
Siobhan.
One of the goals I understand you have in this change with CTS sites is to remove, community risk, needles we're finding in the neighborhood. But we are hearing from many people who are working with people struggling with addiction that the changes you're making are only going to exacerbate the problem. You're going to push drug use into parks, out of the CTS sites. You're going to see more needles on the streets. How do you respond to that?
Well, those are just typical scare tactics that these folks have been saying for years. It has not worked. Simple. Ever since they've been up, it's a failed policy. Simple as that. We're making a better policy, $378 million to help these people, support them, get them help, get them back on their feet, get them a good paying job. That's what we need to do. We don't need to feed them drugs. It's really simple. My heart goes out for these folks, but we're there to help them. We aren't there to give them safe injection sites and all the drugs that they need. And, that's one side. I've read numerous articles from doctors that have said this is the best thing that you could have done is move forward and support them, get detox beds and get them rehabilitated. So there's two sides. I'll take the sides of the docs that are telling me it's the right thing to do. Mayors across the province are applauding this decision. Communities are applauding it. It's the right decision, and we're going to support these people and get them back on their feet.
We did hear from nurses and doctors who work in hospitals that they are worried that this will put more strain on hospitals where you'll have more people being injected with contaminated needles. Have you considered what extra pressure this might put on hospitals?
Again, I don't believe that's the case because we're putting $378 million into supporting them. That $378 million weren't around before. We need more detox beds. We need more rehabilitation beds. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to help these people. We aren't going to give them a safe place to shoot up heroin and crack and every other thing that they can get their hands on. I want to try to help them. And I've talked to more docs about this than I guess what you've just mentioned. And they're 1,000% behind it and made the right decision. And it's going to support them.